The
Congressman is coming.
Is going to join us shortly. So with that, Sam, let's see here. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
Oh, actually, let's just do the roll call first.
Well, I figured we do the agenda first and then.
Oh, right, okay.
Whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the legislative agenda. Let's do, we'll do roll call and then we'll,
I wanted to do this agenda.
Oh, we don't. Yes,
Oh, you don't do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Okay, roll call, Sam.
All right, so Chester, Sydney Lignar, she joined us a little bit earlier. Hopefully she will return, and just Kevin, keep an eye on the attendees. Clinton, Michelle Benna, Eric, I'm really trying. She is not expected. Cromwell, Anthony Salvatore.
Here.
Deep River, Carol Dog Jones. No, okay. I think she said that she might be joining virtually, so we'll see if she joins. Durham, Brendan Ray. East Haddam, Irene Haynes. She is in California today, so she's not gonna be able to join. East Hampton, David Cox. Here. Essex, Norm Needleman. Carrie Duquesne may be attending, but she's not here yet. Haddam, Robert McGarry. Here. Welcome. Killingworth, Eric Couture. Here. Lyme, David Lum. Here. Middlefield, Bobby Amatino or Jim Irish. They said that they'll be joining virtually. I don't see them yet. Are they under attendees? Let's see. Oh, no. Let's see. Next, Middletown, Ben Florsheim. I do not know if he's expected. Old Lyme, Martha Shoemaker. Here. Old Saybrook, Carl Fortuna. Here. Portland, Ryan Curley. Here. Westbrook, John Hall. Here. From the MPO, Joe Comerford. Here. And Darlene Briggs from Middlesex Chamber. Here. Welcome. We also have a few guests joining us. We have Betsy Guerra from Cost. Welcome, Betsy. We have Aaron McBride from Senator Murphy's office. We have Julia McGrath from Joe Courtney's office. We have Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office. We also have, did I get everyone? Oh, we have Catherine Russell from the second selectman of Deep River. And I think that's it for guests. And then for RiverCOG staff, you have me, Sam Gold. We have Kevin Armstrong. We have Elizabeth Rollison. We have Janice Erlenmeyer, Brendan Garrity, Eliza Lopresti, Marcos Gonzalez, Rob Harrimet, Marco Burns. Did I miss anyone? I think that's everyone. So welcome. And
for some reason my speaker isn't working now with this, Jenny.
Okay, so Cindy, we see you and we hear you. So can't hear us. Yeah, she can't hear us. And then on the Zoom, it looks like we may have Joe Courtney's office.
So look, it says.
All right, and then we also have Matt Reich.
Your speaker's not working. Please check your connection.
All right, yeah. So Cindy, we're going to mute you.
So he muted you. The host muted you. So you wouldn't be able to unmute until.
So yeah. Well, I think she unmuted us, but anyway, so that is for introductions. So I guess the question is, the congressman online yet?
Yeah, I see you. Yeah, he's there.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, good afternoon, Congressman. Welcome, and I know you have a very narrow time slot. So as we kick off our annual legislative meeting, I just wanted to first of all just go over just a couple things of federal interest that RiverCOG is interested in, and you're probably well familiar with. Thank you, first of all, for the letter of support for our federal economic development district. Anything that can be done to try to get that economic development district through EDA before the change in administration is appreciated. So thank you again for that. We of course want to keep the Army Corps in the Connecticut River fighting invasive plants like hydrilla, and then finally maintaining funding and appropriations for the bipartisan infrastructure law to keep keep that funding coming to Connecticut for transportation. But before we, but I'll turn it over to you to address the council, and welcome.
Sure. Well, thank you, Sam. And love the backdrop with Abominable Snowman back there. We have sort of a somewhat similar feeling of dread just because of the change. I'm not being political here. I'm just like, obviously it's very fluid right now in terms of just any change of administration. And you got your list through staff and happy to address those issues. I, wanted to begin a little bit in terms of, particularly in the context of the infrastructure bill. We just got a notice, which some of you, or maybe all of you, received, that it looks like there's going to be a ribbon cutting on Monday for the East Haddam Swing Bridge, which is really, I think, one of the marquee sort of infrastructure bill projects, certainly in Eastern Connecticut, and I would say statewide, which is, really exciting to see. I mean, there's been, obviously chronic problems and complaints for many years, which, all of us have heard about. And, seeing that the project really moved along really nicely. And we're going to now have, pedestrian walkways as part of that bridge, which is really exciting in terms of just improving walkability on both sides of the river there. Anyway, I was thrilled to see the invitation come through. So we're in the middle of lame duck right now, which in my experience has actually sometimes been a very productive period in terms of, whether it's just, the fact that everyone knows that the 118th Congress is coming to a close and that there's sort of more pressure to really move the process along. Yesterday, we voted on the Water Resource Development Act, Authorization Act, WRDA, which the New London Day actually did I think a good story today, sort of explaining particularly its impact with subbase and the Thames River. But included in that measure was the Army Corps directive to really include Connecticut in their hydrilla efforts. And so again, the bill passed on a very strong bipartisan vote. Hurrah. In terms of moving that issue along, and I think the prognosis is very good that it's going to get to the president's desk and get signed into law. There were some other authorizations. Again, it's not an appropriations bill; it's an authorizing bill. But there was again authorization for $25 million for environmental infrastructure, flow water and wastewater infrastructure in East Hampton, which, I've met with first selectman and staff on that issue for a number of years. Again, the good thing about authorization, it sort of raises visibility on projects that, again, the different funding agencies through the infrastructure bill prioritize. And the fact that, again, we got that measure in to the WRDA authorization is definitely a really good thing. East Lyme also was included in that list, which I guess is part of RiverCOG. But again, we have been sort of working on that issue really for the last year and a half, along with our Senate colleagues. In terms of, funding for the infrastructure law, Sam, I mean, actually, to me, that sort of raises a question, which with the transition that's going on right now, everybody's got to really be on their toes. The new person that the president-elect has named as his OMB budget director, Russell Voigt, is somebody that I actually remember well from the first term of President-elect Trump. Voigt was the budget director for the last couple of years of the administration. Frankly, we've had good experience with him in terms of, dealing with Navy and shipbuilding issues. But there's a larger question, which if you look at his background and you can Google it and research it, he's somebody who actually believes in the presidential authority to exercise impoundment, which is a word that really hasn't been around since the Nixon administration. And, there was some flurry of it, during the Reagan administration, but basically what impoundment says is that the executive branch has the authority to basically claw back funding, which has already gone through the congressional appropriations process. In the 1970s, Congress passed the Budget and Impoundment Reform Act, which actually most people thought sort of made impoundment a thing of the past because it really put real strict restrictions on any president in terms of sort of basically taking back money, which has already been through the appropriations process. Voigt does not believe in the constitutionality of that law. He thinks that the Article 2 authorities of the president basically give any president the authority to still continue to do impoundment. So there's been a lot of discussion and effort that's been going on in terms of looking at funding that has been already appropriated, that's already been obligated, and already has in some instances been distributed, to just sort of try and evaluate what is the best sort of protections to make sure that funding that Congress and has already been enacted is safe from impoundment. The sort of, and this is all to a large degree sort of speculative in terms of just if OMB tries to exercise some kind of impoundment of funds. Remember, there's a $2 trillion spending cut target, which the DOGE committee has been already working on. Elon Musk and Vivaswamy have been out there in meeting with members of Congress over the last couple of weeks or so to talk about that DOGE effort that's there. So I think, in terms of evaluating which funding is the safest, I think money that's already been distributed to awardees, I think clearly falls well outside what I think that any presidential authority is. I think money that's been obligated, that's again already been through not just the congressional process, but through the agency process to have been approved and awarded, in my opinion, should also be beyond the reach of any impoundment effort. But money that's been just appropriated and has not gone through the obligation and awarding process, I mean, that's where I think there's definitely some high anxiety. Hopefully this is all just being kind of an abundance of caution that people that this conversation and discussion has been going on. But our office has been going through every single community funded project that we have gotten over the last 2 or 3 years to really get people sort of focused in terms of making sure that they move their process along as quickly as possible. And that's not just municipalities. There's some nonprofit groups that again have community funded project earmarks that are still sort of chugging along through the process. And we have talked to the White House about trying to make sure that they accelerate again the obligation of funds from community funded projects as quickly as possible. And so far, actually, the response has been good. I mean, this has been somewhat healthy, honestly, in terms of getting people to sort of get paperwork submitted and talking to the agencies down here, whether it's HUD or other agencies to get them to sort of move this along. Our biggest concern, frankly, and I don't think this is going to come as a big surprise to a lot of you, is the US DOT is got a lot of these community funded projects from the entire delegation and not just from the 2nd Congressional District. And state DOT is the recipient of those funds. And, without trying to be, negative here, but I mean, honestly, I think they have really, state DOT's got to recognize we're not really in a normal sort of process environment. And they really have got to try and really speed things up a little bit to, again, having received all the paperwork that we think is necessary from whether it's municipalities or others, that they really kind of get this stuff finalized and submitted to USDOT so that the funds can get obligated. And I went through our list, and I know there's a couple of communities that are in the RiverCOG, geography that we've already been having some of these conversations. As I said, I think the towns have really responded well in terms of trying to make sure that we get this stuff in and hopefully processed as quickly as possible to, again, create the best defense in terms of whether there's an attempt for impoundment. I just feel that we shouldn't even be having this conversation. I think the law that was passed in the 1970s is good law. And if anything, if there's a constitutional issue that people want to raise about it, I think actually it should be the reverse, that I think that Article 1 should preempt Article 2 in terms of who has the power of the purse. But having said that, Mr. Voigt is somebody who's written a lot on this subject and has spoken a lot on this subject. And I think he means business in terms of how they're going to run the OMB office that's there. So as I said, there's, we're trying to, without panicking people, and alarm people, but to try and just, again, try and get as much through the process as we possibly can. So, as far as the Economic Development District, again, we are going to continue to follow up with Economic Development Federal in terms of trying to, get that finalized. I know that's really important to the RiverCOG area there. And, I think on the call, I think actually Julia McGrath is in the room. So she is, somebody who's been tracking this issue for us and understands the urgency of it. And with that, I'll stop. If I think Chris Murphy is going to join you as well today, and don't want to filibuster here. So if you have a question or two, I'm happy to take it. Or if not, I hope you all have a great holiday. And obviously our switchboard is wide open in terms of follow-up questions that people may have.
Does anyone have any questions for the congressman?
Well, thank you so much for being here. And,
okay, see you, Sam. Take care, everyone.
Maybe in person.
Yep.
All right. All right. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
And I got a message that Senator Murphy will be joining us in a few minutes from now. All
right, we'll continue on then.
And I'll just recognize that Mayor Florsheim has joined us. Carol Doak-Jones from Deep River has joined us. Brianna Horton from Senator Mark's office has joined us. Norm Needleman from Essex has joined us. So welcome, everyone. And Carol Conklin, our regional election advisor, is also on the phone as well.
Okay, public speaking. Carol, you're up.
Oh,
yeah. Hi, Carol.
hello.
Yeah, we wait for the senator.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. And just to touch base that we had 4 COG towns that underwent audits. Some of them performed them in their own town halls, and some of them opted to go to the state where UConn performs the audit with their own equipment. All the audits fared well, and now you're painfully aware it's budget season. If you have newer registrars, if you feel like you want to go over the numbers, if they want to go over the numbers, please reach out to me. It's pretty safe to say your registrar's budget can be less than last year without 14 days of early voting. And I'm also saying that qualifying, I don't know the intervals where your registrars receive increases either, but the actual cost of performing elections within your budget should drop this year with the municipal. It's safe to say out of the legislative session, there will be probably less days assigned to early voting, which will equivalent to less payroll costs. There is new equipment coming down the road, but the state should be covering the training of that. And I think other than that, we're in pretty good shape. Like I said, they can reach out, or you can reach out to me anytime to review any of that.
Okay, 1 second, Carl, I got a question.
So I heard there's 15 days of early voting. That's what my registrar told me yesterday for municipal elections.
For a municipal election?
Yeah, this year,
No.
15 days.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of that.
What is
I-
it for?
That's news to me. So because 14 was the federal, and that was the largest number assigned to early voting. I believe like 7 to 9 was in the original for municipal, but I'll go back and look that up. But I have not heard 15, so I'll double check that.
Could you do that? Could you get back to us and let us
Yes.
know how many days of early voting? Secondly, I would request of the COG, perhaps we could share budgets for what we're paying registrars just in our 16 towns. I sat with my registrars yesterday. Everybody wants more money, you know, and I'd like to know if we're paying our registrars basically the right amount of money. I've looked at some neighboring towns, but I'd like to have maybe all 16 or 17, however big this COG is. I should know by now, but
Excuse me, do you want the budget we're in?
yeah, whatever you're paying your registrars.
Okay.
Yeah, for fiscal 25 or what you're proposing for 26. And lastly, Carol, I don't know if you could, or if anyone here could give some guidance on how we should respond to fight voter fraud and these folks, because you know, that is a real pain in the neck, and you know, maybe some guidance about what information they're absolutely entitled to. Otherwise, we're all gonna be running up legal bills. So,
Okay, so a couple things, when you compare your towns, just kind of keep in mind, one, your voter population, keep in mind the supervised absentee process, like Carl, for example, we have two nursing homes, a lot of towns don't have that. We have a borough that we oversee elections, so keep in mind your nursing homes, your supervised absentee places, assisted living, and boroughs all create another realm of work in their lives. But the other piece to that question was, you asked me something right after that?
Oh, this was about, the question was about independent groups asking about voter fraud and what.
Okay,
and
so
the questions, yeah.
What the state has been encouraging with fight voter fraud, very difficult situation, is whatever they send you in writing, to either have your registrars or you or your town attorney, but probably your registrars or yourself can do it, is to contact FOI. Ask FOI whatever they're asking you for, fight voter fraud, if you have to comply with it, and to the degree you have to comply with it. And that is what the state has been encouraging on our monthly calls.
Good.
FOI is very aware of fight voter fraud.
Thank you. Any other questions for Carol?
Just
Yes.
when the first FOIA came out from fight voter fraud, the Secretary of State's office said that they were preparing information for us so that we would know how to handle that situation. My registrars and I have never received any update on that.
Okay.
Secretary of State's
Yeah,
office.
and like I said, verbally on our monthly calls, that's what they've been encouraging. But I will, what I will do is double check that, and I'll contact the state and say, is there anything you have or can provide to give guidance on that?
Thank you. So to be consistent, why don't we all provide a breakdown on your registrars for this year that we're in, and the number of voters that you have in your municipality. You don't have to separate it, just a combined total with an hourly rate, and provide that to Sam so he could put it all together, or to COG staff, and then we'll get it out to everybody. Okay?
And just one addition for Carol is that Carol and I are speaking with the chair of the Connecticut Association of COGs to lobby the Secretary of State to get us the MOUs to get our funding for her position. So this year she never got around to giving us an MOU, so we never got the funding. So we're hoping that in 2025 that $25,000 will come to us. So.
Thanks, Carol. Any other questions?
No, just a side note too, when you're providing your registrar information, some are paid stipends monthly, some are paid hourly. So probably some of that's gonna have to be converted or made equivalent for easy reading.
Okay. All right, so keep that in mind and provide us with whatever you're providing, make sure you label it. So if it's a monthly stipend or hourly, so we could try to come up with a figure that is consistent. All right, anyone else for Carol? Seeing none, we do have Senator Needleman on. Senator, do you have anything that you would like to state to the council?
No. You all know I can, you know I can talk a lot, but I'm here to answer questions. If anybody has them, I have to be in New Haven at 1:30 for a caucus meeting in person. So anybody got anything, shoot. And if it's about electricity, go ask somebody else.
First Selectman Carl Fatuna would like to raise a question.
So what is your sense on early voting and what might be done with that? Not only, yeah, go ahead. Why don't you just answer that?
Yeah, so I know that you probably read it in the newspaper. They're sort of breaking up GAE a little bit, creating a slightly different an additional committee. I think the general hope is that we're going to go back now that we have no excuse absentee voting, and we're going to go back and amend some of the regulations around early voting. At this moment, I wish I had an answer. As a favor, by the way, I would appreciate if you guys send out a request for that information that you want, and I'll make sure Maria gets it. But I think we spent $32,000, and for the primaries, it was excessive. The problem is, how do you know if a primary is going to be a really contested one versus not? There's a lot to figure out. And I'm not on either of those committees, so I can't really speak to what the plan will be. I think we're going to all be sort of waiting and weighing in with bated breath on the need to make it more efficient, because it wasn't very efficient.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? And Norm, I don't want to put you on the spot. Well, maybe I do.
Sure, what the hell? Come on, Tony, give me your best shot.
How the heck did that sick leave bill pass? And are you going to try and straighten that out?
Which one are we talking about now? Oh, going down to
where-
one employee?
The one, well, it's going to go to one employee, but the one where we have, after 40 hours, we have to wait 40 hours before we can request doctor slips, despite what our CBAs say.
Right. Well, I would like to tell you I had a lot of sway over what goes on the labor committee, but I don't. If there's a specific request, I'm interested in bringing it up to the chair. That said, we have run into this in town hall where, and even at work, where our policy was, if you're out more than 48 hours, you have to provide a doctor's note. The problem today is it's very hard to get to see a primary care doctor. And yeah, the CBAs are written for a time when you could call up your primary care doctor and get in to see them. Today, with high deductible insurance plans, it may cost a fortune to go into a walk-in to be told that you're too sick to go to work. So I'm not sure how that plays into what's going on with the bill, but I think I've had to confront the issue and cut people more slack than I had to before, because they were telling me that it was costing them $200 out of pocket to get a note to miss a day's work. So it is a different world, and I don't know how we solve it, but I can tell you it's not going to get less expensive or easier to resolve it.
All right, we can talk, on the
Yeah.
side. There's
Sure.
definitely ways to address it. Instead of doing what the legislature did, they could have, included that, walk-in clinics were acceptable and what have you. At any rate, we'll have a talk.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Anyone else? Thanks, Norm. I see Representative Carney. Good afternoon.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good afternoon. I see Ryan. Just want to congratulate him on his new position and
Yeah,
thank him for his
congratulations.
service to the town of Portland. Done a good job. So I mean, I've looked over the top priorities. So certainly, some of these are things that I would like to work on. I know many of you, and I've heard from registrars about the early voting issues with costs. And I think, and I'm not entirely sure whether we have authority to do it, but probably an easier process than was the one done now. I'm not sure. I know other states, they actually have voting machine. They actually have the machines there and you just feed it in. I know there was some concern this year. I heard from several people about having to put your name on it and then somebody else opening it, which I think was a legitimate concern. Again, though, I'm not sure the legality of actually putting it through a machine, but I think it would make things certainly easier on the poll workers there. Certainly the waste issue, this is something that, I have been shouting from the rooftops for 8 years or longer than that, and I know all of you have, and it just seems like nothing's happening. Something should have been done a long time ago, and it hasn't been. So I am looking at some of the ideas, and I mean, whatever we do this year, it has to be it has to move the needle forward, because doing nothing, which is what we've appeared to do over the last couple of sessions on this issue, is unacceptable, and we'll just keep sending from some towns trash out of state. One of the things I always try to work on or prevent is certainly passing additional mandates on our towns and our schools to prevent property taxes from going up that way. So, I'm always on that. I think I don't remember if it was last year or the year prior. There was legislation, and I'll be honest, I don't know if it actually went anywhere. This section of the legislation about looking into passing some of the teacher pension costs onto municipalities. I mean, this is something that was discussed back when Governor Malloy was there and we were having budgetary problems. And I know it has been talked about over the last couple of years. And with the current budget, whether, whatever happens with it, I'm not entirely sure. The budget reserve is healthy, the volatility fund, we keep putting money in, but there is a desire to change some of that. So, would there be a proposal to pass additional costs onto towns? I don't know, but that's something that I will be monitoring for sure, the budget. And, I always appreciate any of my town leaders in the district I represent, or, any of the surrounding ones, really to talk to me about any issues they have with particular legislation. I know cost and CCM have been very good, particularly cost on monitoring these issues. So a lot is up in the air right now. The big thing again will be the budget. There was a report released today about that from the Connecticut project with their ideas, and there will be a lot of ideas floating around at what to do with the budget and what to do with the fiscal guardrails, and of course energy. But I would imagine Norm touched upon that. So.
Thank you, Representative. Anyone have any questions for the representative? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
And I think Senator Chris Murphy has joined us. Welcome, Senator Murphy.
Hey, everybody. Apologize for being a little late.
Not a problem. So we've been hearing from a couple of state legislators. We heard from Joe Courtney earlier. I think I provided your staffers with some of the big federal issues that RiverCOG has. You know, obviously protecting appropriations from the bipartisan infrastructure law, our application for a federal economic development district. One thing I didn't bring up was obviously we're restoring funding to Shoreline East, which is more of a state issue, and our continuing fight on invasive species in the Connecticut River, keeping the Army Corps in the river and to combat that species. But I wanted to turn over to you to address the council and give us some idea of where you think things may be going.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody for having me. And again, sorry, we're in the middle of votes on the Senate floor, so I have to be brief. But I'm sure that Joe hit all the right points. Really appreciate all the fantastic work you do at the local level, Republicans and Democrats. The great thing about our state is that we continue to be able to work together. In Hartford, just caught the end of Devin's remarks, and at the local level. So as difficult as the politics here are, and as very different as the next 4 years will feel from the last 4 years, in the land of steady habits, we continue to to drive home what matters to people on both sides of the aisle. So thank you for that, and thanks for having me as part of this conversation. One of the things that we're focused on right now is getting as much money out the door prior to January 20th as possible. We just don't know what the Trump administration is going to do with the big buckets of money that were available to Connecticut under primarily the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, but also the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, and the CHIPS Act. And so we are working very hard with the administration to get those dollars out the door, either to the state government or in projects dedicated to specific communities. So we will continue to work that set. Rail money is definitely part of that equation. We're trying to get as much rail dollars down to Connecticut this month and next month as we can. Obviously, that broadens the bucket that's available to be used for Shoreline East. We are about to likely pass a continuing resolution, so we're going to keep the government open and operating until the end of March. We'll come back then. We've been pushing to get the invasive species grants higher. We get some federal money in Connecticut. That account has had historically about $5 million. We were successful in the Senate version of the bill this year to get that up to 7.5 million. And we'll hopefully be able to win that fight next year, but it'll be hard. It'll be hard because the Republican-controlled Congress and Senate are not going to be interested in spending any additional money on habitat restoration, ecological restoration programs, invasive species, and it's just not going to be on their list. So we were successful in a Democratic Congress to sort of earmark a little bit more money for that account. That'll be much harder. What we expect is that early next year, the Republicans try to move in January, most likely the first of what may be two big legislative packages that they will do without Democratic votes. They won't negotiate it with Democrats. They will only negotiate it with Republicans. That first package will have a really big increase in defense spending, and will have a really big increase in funding at the border. As you know, there are likely going to be some really draconian immigration policies coming down the pike at the beginning of next year, and that'll impact us in Connecticut. There will be raids. There will be a lot of people swept up in those raids. Some of them will not be, folks who should be targeted for deportation, but we're going to have to, at the local level, really be paying attention to that, because if somebody disappears, folks may not know about it unless at the local level you raise it to us. So we'll have to be in a deep conversation about that. So we're all in a bit of a wait and see mode here as to exactly sort of how fast the Trump administration's priorities roll out to begin the year. I don't think there's a lot in there that's going to be very good for Connecticut. Maybe in the defense package, we obviously need to get the submarine schedule back on track. I think we were going to do that regardless of who is in the White House, but that's something we'll try to solve at the beginning of next year. The second package is likely to be the tax package, and that's where there's probably going to be real harm for Connecticut. They have, been pretty unapologetic in the past about targeting tax programs that help red states and punish blue states. That's how we, lost some of our deductibility for mortgages and local and state taxation, and that trend will likely continue. So we'll fight it. We'll fight it really hard, but we just have to be ready for that coming down the pike. So that's where we are. Trying to do as much as we can between now and January 20th, and I think we'll have success. I think we will roll out a bunch more money to Connecticut between now and then, and then everybody will kind of assess at the beginning of the year. Obviously, our offices are all open for business. So anything that comes across your desk that has any kind of federal nexus, I know Joe's team is good. I know Dick's team is good. But I think my office has the best constituent services team in the state. So send your folks our way. We want to help in any way that we can. So anyway, thanks a lot for just everything you do for the state and for all the communities that we care about along the river, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Thanks, Senator. Does anyone have any questions for the senator? Thank you very much, Senator. Enjoy the holidays.
I appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, guys.
Okay, moving along.
And let's go back up to actually approve the agenda and ask if there's any amendments for it.
I wanted to approve the agenda.
Oh, the legislative agenda. The legislative agenda is different than the full agenda. Sorry.
All right. Now we'll go back and we'll approve the legislative agenda. It's in your packet. Can I get a motion? Carl, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Dave, any additions, corrections, anything?
Yeah, I got a comment from Norm that it was too long, but I believe that we'd rather have more than less in here to give ideas to our legislators. But I did, if you'll see on there, in this latest version, the top priorities, it's the call out things that seem to rise to the top. And then you can read more further down. So that's the latest version that you all received.
If we don't throw it out there, it doesn't stand a chance of being addressed, so. And I think Sam did 60 minutes and I did about 45 with the senator. All right, all in favor of the legislative agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do you want to see if Betsy has?
Yeah, she was next.
Okay, good. Got it.
Good afternoon, Betsy. Would you like to address the COG?
I'm actually standing because I had.
Oh, why don't you come up? Yeah.
Betsy Gara, Cost Executive Director.
Thank you. Thank you. The Connecticut Council of Small Towns will be approving its legislative agenda on Tuesday at the board meeting, and then we will be sending it out to our members for additional input. So I'm actually really pleased that I was here because I see some recommendations and this agenda that I think we can incorporate. And I agree, sometimes it's helpful to have a longer agenda because it provides you with the direction you need when you're up there and all of a sudden faced with some issues and you don't have to go back to the board and figure out kind of what our position is. So ours is very long too, and I appreciate that. But we are an organization that is devoted to representing our members. But in order to do that, we need to hear from our members. Typically, we do a legislative survey. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of responses, so we did not do that this year. But again, I am going to be sending out the draft. If you have issues you'd like to add to that, that would be very helpful. I think that ensures that we are reflective of the issues that our towns are facing. So there's a lot going on, and I appreciate everything you do. So I hope that you have some time to enjoy the holidays. And our annual meeting, which is our 50th anniversary of representing small towns, is on January 29th at the AquaTurf. And we expect to have the governor, a legislative leaders forum, and other constitutional leaders there to speak about some of the issues that we may be faced with during the legislative session. So thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sam.
Thank you, Betsy.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think that's it. We do have staffer Brianna Horton from Senator Marks's office. I'm assuming that Senator Marks isn't able to make us because she's probably at the same meeting as Senator Needleman.
Yeah,
But I just want to acknowledge that you're here at the meeting.
thank you. Yeah, no, just listening in, taking some notes for the senator, but I don't think there was any update for me to give on our end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, COG audit, presentation and approval.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we've had this problem in the past, and we're gonna be going out to bid for our audit. Our auditors did not get us the draft audit in time to be able to circulate it to you. That's why you've seen some doodle polls from Elizabeth. We're trying to schedule a meeting for the second half of next week, and Paula is working on the draft with the auditor right now to get that off, to get the mistakes and other issues fixed, so it can go out to you for you to have at least a week to review it. So please respond to Elizabeth's second doodle poll. I think we need to round up 2 more CEOs in order to have a quorum for that meeting. It will be a short meeting, no longer than 30 minutes, to get a presentation from RiverCOG's auditors and entertain a motion to approve the audit. So that will be sometime the end of Wednesday or Friday next week.
All right, without objection, we'll just leave it where it is on the agenda.
Yep.
All right, MPO business, Rob, okay to do 1 through 4?
Or the minutes first. Actually, Rob.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, they were lumped in.
Yeah.
Minutes from November 20th for the COG and the MPO. Can I get a motion? Motion, second. John, any corrections? Anything to add? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 1 through 4, Rob, is okay?
Yeah, you want me to do it from here or come up front?
It'd be better if you come up here.
Come up here.
We'll get you on TV.
Yes, the people joining us from their offices can see
Yeah,
it.
makes more sense.
Oops, was it 4 or 5? 1 through 4. Right here. These 4. Are they the same?
Yeah, actually, all 5 are the same.
All 5 without objection are the same? Then we'll have Rob do all 5.
All right, so we have basically 1 tip amendment with 5 line items. This is a Killingworth project on Route 148. It's project number 6981 using STP rural funds, not exempt from air quality modeling. This is a Krupa Pond Dam improvements. This is basically a dam that runs under 148 west of Route 81. It's on the north side of 148. It's been an issue in the town for quite a few years. There's 5. Basically, what the job will do is fix the retaining wall, replace the culverts under the road, which basically serve as a spillway, as well as probably change the roadway geometry. But design hasn't even started yet, so that's what these amendments are about. The first amendment, number 1, is a preliminary design phase in 2025 for $895,000. This is 80/20 federal state. The second line item is the final design phase in 2026 for $646,000, again 80/20. The third line item is the right-of-way phase in 2026 for $50,000, 80/20 as well. Number 4 is the FYI phase. This is beyond the scope of the current tip. The current tip is 25, 26, 27, and 28. So this will be in 29 or farther out. I don't have the exact number.
And the first one is AC entry for 0, and the second is the AC conversion for 12,400,000.
Okay, can I get a motion for 5B, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
I'll move approval.
Motion, second, Bob. Any further discussion? Any questions? Yes, sir.
I'll just also mention that this area is also one of the areas that was noted to be kind of complicated for in safe streets. Work, so it's probably very beneficial to that area, so.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Upcoming public meeting, Safe Streets, Rob?
Yep, we have a few, actually, they had just occurred. We had a public meeting, a virtual meeting last night for SS4A, and another one on Monday night in Chester. That was an in-person meeting. This was basically to continue to gather public input on various locations of concern, as well as to basically show the draft high accident locations. Currently, we do have the draft existing conditions report out to our committee, which has the safety analysis. Once we get that finalized, hopefully by the end of the month, we'll make that public. And then the next steps are basically to start, looking at various, policies and countermeasures and things we can do at these various locations. And that'll be probably take us about a year to get this project wrapped up.
Any questions for Rob on the safe streets and roads or the trails?
Oops. Actually, we do have the loop trail too. I can talk about that really fast.
Go ahead.
Back on, let's see, November 20th, we had our public information meeting. That was to basically present to the public the preferred alternative routes that we were looking at. That went well. That was in the council chambers. Since then, that information is out at the advisory committee for that study, hopefully to get endorsed at our next advisory committee meeting. Once that is complete, we will get the draft report worked on and get that out to the public for public comment, and hopefully bring to the MPO board in March, provided everything stays on schedule for endorsement, and get that project wrapped up.
Thanks, Rob. Any questions for Rob? Thank you. Transit District, I saw Brendan.
Everybody, so a couple updates for everybody related to the some things we have going on with Ride Transit. So to start, we launched our tap and ride pilot funded through USDOT in November. Went in October, excuse me, went very well. This is for folks who don't know, this is our fare payment validators on all the buses, so people can tap their credit and debit cards, even Apple Pay, mobile wallet on their to pay for their bus fare instead of the traditional, cash or ticket options. All those options will still exist, so we're not taking anything away from our riders. We're just adding additional options, so riders can now pay with a debit or a credit card. And so we had a great launch meeting for that. We are currently working on allowing senior and disabled riders to also be able to pay that half fare, because right now it's just one fare. So we're currently working with the vendor to make sure that the cards can detect that they're senior or disabled, and then offer those discounts to everybody. We also had a second focus group with customers, which was great. We had it last week in Middletown, and we heard from our riders, have they used it before? Had they heard of it? Are they interested in using it? What are the barriers? What are the pros? So that was definitely very valuable. It gave us good feedback. And all this feedback will be used for a report that CTDOT will be completing to USDOT to give progress on the report. How's it going? Because the ultimate goal, hopefully, if this goes well, is to have these systems statewide. So that way riders can seamlessly transfer from one system to the next, tap their card then becomes their transfer pass, and they can move through the system a lot more seamlessly. That's sort of the end goal of this project. I'll move next to our e-bus stop enhancement program. This is another state funding opportunity from CTDOT funded through the legislature. This allows us to basically improve bus stop infrastructure across our state, including here at River Valley Transit in our region. And so one of our first things we're doing is adding bus shelters. We have 4 bus shelters slated to be added in Middletown. So we're working with the city now to get approval for that, and that'll be hopefully launching pretty soon, get those installed. These are at high ridership priority locations that are useful for us and our riders. I also want to highlight a couple exciting events we have upcoming soon. We have a legislative breakfast from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Monday, January 6th. So it'll be a great event. We'll be going over, a similar meeting that we have now. And I think even more exciting is our electric bus and mailing coming up next week, Tuesday the 17th. So at 11 a.m. at our 91 North Main Street location in Middletown. So please, everybody here is welcome to that. We'll be unveiling. We'll have a lot of speakers and legislators coming as well. So it should be a great event to unveil our new electric buses that should be out on the road in January. So we're excited about that. And I'll just lastly say that the fixed route expansion in microtransit is also going very well. So that was also funded through the state legislature, and those expansions have been great. We're seeing Sunday ridership in particular really strong. So we're seeing lots of riders use that Sunday ridership, which is excellent. And so overall, we're seeing a massive increase in ridership. Joe just mentioned to me today that last year we saw about 20,000 people ride the services last October. Now we're at 27,000. So we're definitely seeing a big increase from these expansions. So we're very happy with that and hope to continue that forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Regional Waste Authority study, Sam.
I'm gonna turn over to Janice, if you want to present or. Yeah. So while Janice is coming up, this is a deep funded study to study the feasibility and make recommendations regarding a regional waste authority for our region. And we held an RFP, and Janice can report on the results.
We had 7 firms apply for the grant, and we interviewed 4. In the interviews, we have come up with a team that was helping to decide which firm was the best. And we have decided on a firm by the name of RRS to help us with our Regional Waste Authority grant. They were all good firms that could do a great job for our region, but RRS scored higher, and that's our selection. So
yes, would be looking for authorization to enter negotiations and a contract with RRS to conduct the Regional Waste Authority study using those deep funds.
In a site.
That is up to discussion with the First Selectman of Essex.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's there's a few different parts of this grant. The first is a planning study to look at what our options are and to look at opportunities to join existing waste authorities that may or other parts of the other state, creating our own, making some recommendations regarding that, and also some of just the background information of our waste and gathering that most of the information that MIRA already has, the MIRA staff have. There's a second phase of this project, which may or may not happen, which is an operational and engineering study of the MIRA facility in Essex, but that is somewhat dependent on what the town of Essex decides to do regarding that facility. And then there's a portion of this project, which would be the legal work to either set up a new regional waste authority or to join an existing waste authority. And then the final portion of the grant is up to $250,000 for startup funds for a new regional waste authority. So this is for the first, potentially the first 3 parts of that grant. The startup funds would be decided later once if we pursue a regional waste authority.
Do we have the funds?
They are deepest front is giving us an advance of 25% of the grant. The grant is $612,000 or $620,000. And I don't know if we've received the check yet for the 25% advance, but that's supposed to get us started off. And then, but if we do not proceed with any of the phases, we return the money to DEEP that's unspent.
Questions, Carl?
I forget how much our RRS was, or how much was their bid?
Oh, Marcos, do you remember? Not, yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, Marcos is getting that number.
And if the Essex transfer station cannot be used as a regional facility for whatever reason, is it clear to these folks that the contract, that part of the contract may not be, you know, the examination of the transfer station, you know, for entering into a contract for all these items and one of them can't be done, I think the contract needs to be clear that they'll only be authorized to do in advance what we authorize them to do.
Exactly, and we did not inform any of the firms of that possibility that that phase of the project might not proceed. In my communications with Norm, I said, this is available if you want it. We have the money for it, but if not, we will not proceed without his approval. And he told me it's, you know, it's town property and I'd want to give approval before you did anything. So it's like, okay. But that will be part of our discussion with our RRS.
Good point. Yeah, since it's not resolved yet, we didn't really want to open it up to tell these firms about it, so.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll certainly include that to tell them what the possibilities are.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
$260,000 was the bid price.
How much?
$259,997.
Okay, so you need a motion to accept, what is it, RRS?
Yes.
RRS. Motion, second? Second. Any further discussions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Sam, RiverCOG officers and executive committee.
Oh, right. Okay, so as our officers only serve a year, we have 4 officers and 2 at-large members of our executive committee. I have spoken to all members of the existing officers and executive committee, and they're all willing to serve another term. Because we're losing Ryan to Berlin, we do have a vacancy. I asked Eric if he would serve next year, and he agreed. And Tony, if you give Ryan the honor of running the elections.
Ryan, if you would please run the election
of officers.
I'm assuming we'll just do this as a slate.
I assume so, although I don't know if he wanted to do nominations from the floor, potentially. I don't know if anyone else wants this.
Well, first, why don't we take a motion to approve this slate, and then we'll open it up to other nominations. So the slate is Tony Salvatore as chair, Dave Cox vice chair, Bob McGarry secretary, Carl Fortuna treasurer, and then at large committee members Eileen Haynes and Eric Kocher. So kind of a motion. Oh, thank you. Can I have a second?
Yeah, Brenda.
Now, any other motions from the floor? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close nominations? The second? All right, all those in favor? All right, so then all those in favor of the 2025 slate? Aye. All right, great, congratulations, thank you all.
Thank you, Ryan. Congratulations.
Chairman Executive Director's report. Well, first of all, I do want to thank the first selectman of Portland who's moving on. He's going from my east side to my west side. If you haven't heard, he is going to become the town manager for the town of Portland. I congratulate you. Berlin. I said Portland. Berlin. I can't wait until he gets over there so he can buy me lunch. That'll be.
I can afford it.
I know. At any rate, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I'll enjoy continuing to work with you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Sam, you have anything you want to add?
Thank you to Ryan, and thank you, Tony, for hosting us today, and to the library director as well. This is a great facility, and glad that we're able to come here. I had the financial report. So financial report is, as of November 30th, the council had completed 5 months of fiscal year 2025, and overall spending was within the parameters of the adopted $3.2 million budget. The dues, subscription, professional development, seminars, conferences budget had already reached 54% of this budget versus the 42% of the year that we've completed. But we're running ahead, but I don't expect us to go over. Our STIF account totaled $1,859,677 on November 30th. And also on that day, our Liberty checking account balance was $21,259. Just report that yesterday I was down in Washington for Thriving Communities project. This is the project for 4 transit-oriented development plans around our 3 shoreline east stations and downtown Middletown on the bus passenger terminal. It was a really interesting event with the recipients from around the country convening in Washington. Megan and Susie are still down there today and learning a lot about how this program can set us up for potential implementation. Last week, we met with David Corus, who is the new executive director of the Municipal Redevelopment Authority, MRDA, and they are the new state authority that municipalities can partner with to do projects like transit-oriented development. Right now, he does not have a staff, but he is building a staff, and the idea is that they will have the capacity to do private-public partnerships. The town would pass an ordinance, partner with MRDA, and then be able to do projects. MRDA would have borrowing authority and other authorities that could help facilitate projects. And the idea is that authority will maintain the staff that are savvy in this role of the development to be able to pull off a project that most towns don't have on staff. So I think that was very encouraging. Trying to think of anything else that's coming up. And we will have that short special meeting next week if we can round up a quorum for the audit. I think that's it.
Anyone else have anything for the good of the council?
I do one other thing. I'll just say, usually we would have a Demis report. Demis meeting has not happened yet. Our attorney, Steve Mendick, is actually meeting with Brenda Bergeron at Demis to talk about possible ways to streamline some of the bureaucracy for the federal emergency preparedness grants. And specifically, can there be longer lasting legal instruments so we don't have to have 3 MOAs from every municipality in Connecticut every year? That creates a lot of work for the fiduciaries, and a lot of the CEOs are confused about these MOAs, about money that never actually goes to the town. It's being received by the Dems region on the behalf of the towns, but couldn't there be a solution that would be a little less cumbersome and take some of the bureaucracy out of Demis? And so I'm looking forward to hearing how that meeting goes. And it seemed like something that was worthwhile to pursue, even if Demis is searching for a new fiduciary for Demis Region 2. This would benefit everyone if we were able to find a better way of doing the paperwork. So,
okay. Anyone else have anything for the good of the council? Seeing none, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we may be calling a special meeting next week, Zoom.
Yep, by Zoom. Yeah, it'll be Zoom.
And again, for you and your families, enjoy, be safe, and January we have a meeting.
Yes, our January meeting, according to our schedule, will be, let me just take a look, is going to be the 22nd of January. And that will, I think it's planned for a Zoom meeting. It'll be by Zoom.
So, okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Bob, second?
By Eric.
Eric? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm sure there's nobody opposed.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks, Carol.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays. Holidays, everybody.
Thank you. You also.
Thank you.